Oh, thank you, sir. All right, questions and answers. What do we got going here? Who are you? Who are you? That's a good song. I'm Joe Skabinski. I'm the president of JPS Labs LLC, which includes Abyss Headphones and a few other companies and stores and stuff we got. What do we do? Well, I get to run the company. I work with the customers, mostly directly, deal with the marketing, the advertising, the planning, the invoicing, washing dishes, stuff like that. You know, anyone who owns a small company knows the feeling. It's there's always something to do, and you just do it. That's the way it works. The hardest part of my day, well, I'd say that would be at my age, I've learned to just kind of be fairly level through the day. I don't try to make a hard part of the day. I try to avoid hard parts in the day. You learn to basically when you get older, you learn to pace yourself. So. The reality of it is I wake up, I start make a pot of coffee, start doing email, and then obviously get ready for the day, take a shower, come to work, blah, blah. So really I'm always either talking on the phone, answering emails, whatever, you name it, anything that I need to do, invoices. So to me, it's all kind of the same. Enough talking about me. I can get back on this. Like, how about you, man? Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah. Who are you?
I'm Jason Skubinski, and what do I do here? Well, everybody does a little bit of everything, but I assemble headphones, try to get everybody else organized as best possible to get what we need to get done for that day.
You're the chief assembler.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of assembly stations, too.
Yeah.
He jumps from one bench to another bench to another area to here.
Yeah.
Diaphragm production here, blah, 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 magnet assembly here.
Yeah. So, kind of just putting on hats down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the hardest part of the day, actually, it's probably just getting the things that need to be done for that day out before the end of the day.
Yeah, we're always like trying to fight UPS, trying to beat them to the door.
Yeah, I'd say.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Who are you? Here, you want to read
I'm
this?
Eric. Yes. So I'm an engineer for Abyss. I primarily do design and process optimizations. I'd say the hardest part of my day is typically knowing the best approach for most things. So there tends to be dozens of ways to get anything done. And so knowing what you're pursuing is the best approach, the most sensible, reasonable approach. It's going to produce the most desirable result for most people. That tends to be the hardest part. Sometimes you don't always win on that one, and you got to try again. But usually over time, you tend to get a little bit closer to the desired goal, I suppose. How do we get started?
It's kind of all the same.
Yeah, you're part of the equation on how you decided to get into the headphone industry or whatever.
Oh.
Well,
I tripped on a power cord. Wait, I fell off the toilet, hit my head on the sink.
Yes, slipped, hit your head on the sink when you came to.
And when I came to, I saw a giant headphone with a Cyberman wearing it.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
That is how it happened.
So I was going to school at the time for electrical engineering, and he approached me and said that we should consider making headphones. At the time, I thought that was a little crazy, but it seemed like a reasonable enough goal to give it a shot.
Well, it's like, we know nothing about headphones, so.
Right, yeah. I was enthusiastic about the target, knew nothing about it, but enthusiastic enough about it.
I knew a crap load about two-channel audio and speakers and design. I've worked with many speaker designers.
Yeah.
Well, my whole shtick started with B&W years ago. I started working with them, right? So I knew speakers from the inside out. I knew the pitfalls, and I knew I didn't want to make speakers.
But
I knew that.
never actually making speakers.
Right, never did it.
So that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it took a long time to just get to that point where we had something that worked, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Because I mean, it's starting from nothing.
Had a first driver
the first ones.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the pleated one?
The pleated, yeah. Well, that's where we started with a Heil driver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a guy that worked with Oscar Heil, and obviously he's an older dude, but he's out in California, and I don't know. I think in the late '90s he was making this speaker company, and one of our dealers called Avoir was making a speaker called Avoir Acoustics, which lasted all about 2 years. But they were using these pleated ribbon drivers, and anyway. So I had it in my head that shit, maybe we could start with that because I knew I knew all about it. I knew the guy making it. And I said, maybe we could make a driver
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
for a headphone.
We still have them actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We got this ugly looking prototypes
Yeah.
where you're hand pleating
Yeah.
the Kapton material, whatever the hell we were using. And
Yeah.
We had a very hands-on approach.
Yeah.
And we didn't know anything about magnets at the
Yeah,
time.
I think we're using hot melt to hold it
Yeah.
to the frame.
Yeah.
Bottom line is we've learned really quickly that probably wasn't a good way to make a driver for a headphone.
Yeah.
It was too noisy. Even
challenging.
just looking at it, even though the crude way we assembled it,
Yeah.
looking at it, it was like, we're never going to get this right.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And we said, well, let's just stretch it out, make it flat, and call it a day, and
Right.
we'll work on that.
Yeah, but then it
you
it needed a complete redesign then because it was completely different.
Yeah,
design.
everything was wrong. Yeah.
So then we had to learn that.
I mean, but I think one of the important things to think about in starting a company is we didn't have any preconceived notions.
Right.
None.
Like we weren't looking at, other than looking at planar speakers, maybe
Right.
not looking at them, but knowing how they sound.
Right.
We never really looked at how anyone did anything.
Probably a bit of a
Didn't know
interesting
any of the other
approach, I
models,
guess you
yeah.
would say, right?
So that's why
Yeah,
I guess
back in the
that's
day,
why it came in
headphones were-
unique. I mean,
Right.
I guess that's how you can put it.
I mean, the headphones actually, if you listen to some of the old ones from the 70s, they aren't so bad. I mean, I grew up, my
Well,
uncle in the early 70s.
It was all over the place.
Yeah,
back
they weren't
then.
so bad.
Some were better than others.
but that whole industry just kind of
Yeah.
disappeared. But anyway, I think we determined it was just going to be something cool to try to do.
Yep.
And, we had a lot, I personally had a lot of built-in knowledge on material science, knowing what things sound like, how they resonate, from dealing with the various speaker manufacturers, the way they made drivers and stuff. I had a lot of built-in knowledge to get a basis to start, but we didn't know much about refining a magnetic field to work with a planar magnetic driver, and I think looking at a lot of companies today, they still don't know a lot about it. There's very few that really do, because you look at the designs and they're like, you already know what it's going to sound like just looking at the mag field. There's no way that's going to be right,
Yeah.
So, anyway, we've learned a lot in the last
I think
dozen years.
The biggest thing was doing everything in house, and we could keep making changes every day, make a lot of changes.
That was important. That was key.
Like not just like waiting for stuff to come in and then try it.
Yeah, we could
do
rock
it through like
through
5-6 prototypes a day.
Yeah, right.
And that's the only way that
until you started pulling your hair out of your head.
Yeah.
But
So
that really
that
was a huge thing.
A lot.
Well,
I remember
it wasn't even that easy if you think about it. It wasn't just being able to make the prototypes multiple times.
You got to figure out how.
First, you got to figure out how to do
right.
to make. You need the process. You need the equipment.
Then you got to build the things to build the things.
Yeah. That's what took so damn long.
Yeah.
Some
Starting
companies
from
like Odyssey, when they got started with this, they were just putting out their first headphone. I think it was a Model 1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
One,
LCD
which
1.
was LCD 1.
I don't know if they said LCD.
It was fairly crude. I mean, and it's understandable, but it wasn't something we wanted to do. But then again, people thought our first one was crude too because
Yeah,
it
it
looked,
was. Well, looking back, it was.
Kinda. Yeah, not really. I mean, kinda. It wasn't machined anywhere near to the
No,
quality
I'm
of
talking
ours
like
today.
the ones before the ones we even showed. Though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
no. Well, that's
Yeah.
different.
I guess actually that's
no
an
one ever
interesting
saw
tidbit,
that.
right?
Nobody saw 'em.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that.
We didn't sell that. We
by
didn't
the
try to make
time-
money on that.
You remember the comments we had from the first prototype that we showed at RMAF,
Right.
and that was
People were pretty
effectively
kind there, actually.
surprisingly, but that was
Yeah.
effectively our third headphone from
Yeah.
my perspective, right? Maybe even fourth. It depends on how you want to call it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's been several
You
revisions,
mean in terms
right?
of look?
In terms of the
No.
overall design technology, effectively. And up until that point, of course, we haven't shown it publicly.
Yeah.
Right. So, to some extent, we were working on it for years before that. Right.
Yeah.
It was almost 5 years
Well,
before we
even then
started
it was
shipping,
still
maybe even
crude,
more.
though.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if
Oh,
you listen
absolutely.
back to that, I don't
Absolutely.
know if we still have that one around somewhere. I don't even
We do.
think so.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just crude because we still didn't have the mag field down.
No, Sure. yeah.
We didn't optimize the trace pattern for.
Yeah.
We didn't really hone in on what we could do with that because we still were in the infancy of understanding it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounded pretty damn good. I mean, hell, even
It's
a guy
okay.
like Tile walked up and said it sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot from Tile. He didn't say much about the
Yeah,
the Spidey pattern we had for
I believe
a
he actually
laser
did say
burn.
much about
Yeah,
that.
he didn't say.
Yeah.
Well, actually, his silence was more of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, who cares?
But what I thought was kind of interesting
It was
is
just a prototype. Get
I
over
made
it.
an account on HeadFi 2 or 3 years before we started doing the headphone thing.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah,
I
me
got-
too.
Right.
I came in there early. I wanted to introduce myself, and I took shit right away.
No, I'm saying
'Cause
before,
I was the cable
before
guy
we
then.
even started designing headphone, before you came to me and said, "Hey, let's make a headphone,"
Oh,
I made an account on HeadFi, and
Oh,
I was
really?
browsing around. I was browsing around on the
I
forum,
didn't know that.
And
I
I was
learn
trying
something
to.
every day.
Yeah,
I was
he's got a
trying to.
pretty old account.
My account's really old.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't have any posts
Like
on it.
08?
06, 07?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's- yeah.
Yeah, I think mine
Yeah.
was 08 or 09. I don't even 09. Yeah.
I think it's 06.
Yeah. It's funny how we look at that as
So
being like
it was-
experience level.
Yeah, well,
I know some guys around there like 04.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
did it start? 04, 03?
no, it was before that. I think.
01?
01, 02.
He was in college, the early days of college.
Wow, Jude really had a vision.
I was considering
you know?
getting a headphone to,
Yeah.
to bring to school, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, all I had was those Sennheiser PXC 250s or something like that, those over-ear noise canceling.
Yeah.
They're okay for the time,
Yeah.
but I wanted something a little bit fancier,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any experience in the industry, right? So I wanted to look around and see what people were saying, see what the cool kids were running, and yeah, it certainly has matured quite a lot since then, because back in those
You
days,
think?
people were quite indecisive. There was no real agreement. People said everything was better for different reasons, and it depends on what type of music you listen
like
to,
the
and
early
stuff like that,
days
your
of
price
Two Channel.
points. But there was no
In the
real,
middle days.
there was no clear winner
Yeah.
back then. Like there seems to be now. There seems to be 2, 3, 4 selections, maybe depends
Yeah,
on your price
per price
point.
point, yeah.
Right. It seems to be a general consensus in the
Yeah.
community. Back then, there didn't seem to be any of that. It was pretty wild. There was so much diversity in the sound you would get out of the headphones, and so it seems like you really needed to
Same with
listen
2
to it.
Channel in the 90s, the speakers were like that too. You had bright speakers, dark speakers. You couldn't make head
But
to
the
tails
market was so
everything.
small.
No
There
one
was-
knew what center sound, what
There
what
were so
sound really
few
should sound
places
like.
selling the gear, you couldn't really feasibly go listen to all the different stuff. It's still a challenge today, but
Yeah.
to some extent, a little bit less than it was. Because there are specialty guys opening up that have the high end stuff. Whereas back then, in the U.S., it wasn't prolific at all,
Did we answer the
Right.
question of how we got started?
effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
Well, one thing led to another, and here we are. I
Yeah,
guess.
well,
But,
yeah.
In a nutshell, but yeah, I mean, we did a lot of work. We did a lot of legwork. We did a lot of research. We did a lot of R&D, you know, and we
Yeah.
continue to do that. It never ends.
Yeah.
It's just now we've
You
got
got
such
an
a
idea.
subset of knowledge
Yeah, yeah.
that we can avoid all. I mean, to start a company like this from scratch, anybody, it's difficult. You know, it's not that easy. You can't just slap together a headphone and call it a day.
I think you got to care a lot.
Well, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
You got to care about what you're doing, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's kind of nice because in this industry, you see a lot of people that do care.
Yeah.
Most people care
Oh, yeah.
making products in this
Absolutely.
industry, which is very refreshing
Or
compared to 2
at
Channel.
some point, you might start crying because you go broke trying to do it.
Well,
yeah, but
Some
depends
make
on
it.
whether or not you consider
Yeah.
it a hobby or a business, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Some people are
expensive.
more on the hobby side.
You think about how much we put into this so far in terms of our time, and we got like all these years of our lives we spent, you know, days, evenings, we all constantly thinking about it just to get to where
Sure.
we are. You know, the machinery we have in place, and all the learning curve for you to learn
Oh,
how
yeah.
to program the CNCs, and I mean, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's the other end of it. It's
me
one
to
thing
learn how to
designing
pay for
it,
this stuff.
but then actually making it, actually building
More
it in
than one.
quantity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
And it's still sometimes we get kicked
Oh,
in the
yeah.
ass. There's always
Oh, yeah.
challenges.
Yeah.
You know,
course.
for all kinds of reasons. The vendors change something on you.
Oh, yeah,
Which we
yeah.
try to avoid vendors like the plague.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I think it's really important that you try to make everything you can feasibly yourself, as long as it's economically viable.
Well, you know that they're not
Uh,
going to just go out of business one
Right, because
day.
any
It's
time,
hard, though.
I mean, you could think
You got
back.
to have a lot of talent in house to be able to do that.
In hindsight, though, you remember anytime we brought anything in house, there's a significant learning curve, some
Yeah.
other than others, but it's always been so positive
Well,
after
It also,
after the system smooths out, right?
Ultimately, it pays off.
well,
yeah.
and you probably
it
help
such
out another
dramatically
thing too.
expands your
You could-
abilities.
Yeah.
You
It
help
also
out more
does.
than-
It also does suck the profit out of the company too.
Sure,
When
yeah.
you look at it from a dollar
Right. Oh, yeah,
standpoint,
it doesn't make any
always
money.
seems. Yeah, it always seems like you're always just basically floating
Right.
along with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because you're always spending money on something every time you try to bring a process.
Yeah,
in-house.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I don't think we've stopped bringing processes in house. Like last year,
At some point, maybe.
we brought our own coatings, the
Yeah.
ceramic coat and stuff in house. I think that was more of a learning curve process than it was
Right.
equipment.
Well, we had to learn how.
I mean,
to
okay,
paint.
we needed a
Yeah.
5 horsepower screw compressor. And,
Yeah.
you know, we had to put that in. We had to run air all over the place. We
Yep.
had to get sandblasting media. We had to learn how
Yeah.
to prep the material. We had to,
Sure.
you know, what the hell else? I mean, it's just a constant. I mean, it probably took
It's a lot of
a
variables.
good year before we were really putting a good coat of friggin' ceramic on the
Took a
parts.
while.
You know,
Took a while.
and Keith back there doing it. I mean, I don't think he could spray cars, but he had to learn how to hold the gun and get it right,
Oh,
all
yeah.
the nooks and crannies,
Yep.
and you know, even
Well, there's all those nuances
so
that you don't
much to
see until
learn.
you're in production,
Yeah,
right? There's hundreds of things that could go wrong, and maybe on the sample you did, none of them happened.
some parts bake
Different
different than
batches and
others.
lots, right? All the aluminum
More
has
mass.
irregularities.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just
Sure.
what Keith had to learn. You know how many we must have a bin of parts that are effed up. It's got to be
Oh,
like. I mean, we just throw it in the recycler and it goes to the aluminum recycler and it gets melted
Yeah.
down. But bottom line is, God, how much stuff we've wasted over the years to get it right.
Yeah.
You think about it.
Well,
That's a
same
lot.
goes
There
for
had
the,
to be thousands of frame sets
Yeah,
just
but that
tossed
same
in the
goes before
recycler.
paint, though,
You know,
too. How
bins
many-
and bins of them.
how many just to get to the point of paint that
Yeah.
needed
That's
just
true.
to get the processes
And it
down.
seems like every time we do something different, we try to add another feature. This whole thing starts over again.
Yeah,
This
that's
learning
the thing.
curve.
Yeah.
It never ends, and it involves more than one person. It's never like, okay, Keith, go and friggin' figure this out.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
all of us are involved at some point in the stage. You know,
Sure.
from assembly to whatever. It's like you start painting a new part, you get some finish in a threaded hole, and now you can't assemble the damn
Right.
thing, and you got to make sure you plug the hole before you do this. And it's like constant everything.
Well, it's
every time-
challenging to really find the best option there. You got to trade off your time with the finished quality of the product, right? Because you could always see the improvements as time goes on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Everything, all the little changes you make are always for the better. So it's encouraging and it's easy to keep going to make everything
Oh, definitely.
perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at our 1266 now, the TC, and you look at the fit and finish on that frame. You know, to a lot of people in a photo at a distance over the internet on a forum,
Right.
it looks the same. But when you have it in your hand in person,
Yeah.
the finish is just so smooth and almost a silky like ceramic coating,
Yeah.
and you could just see, the Germans probably pick it out the best, right? Or when we go to do a trade show
Yes.
like in Munich,
Yeah.
we get more of an international crowd there.
Yeah, you get a machinist in the crowd.
Yeah, there's
commenting on
machinists,
it.
I mean, what's some of the
In
comments
Munich.
like you get out of these guys? Like,
I'm surprised. They're always universally positive.
yeah, they look at them and go,
Well, they always
"Geez,
tell you that
actually,
I'm a machinist.
You always
so
get
they're
these people
interested.
coming up,
That's
"Oh,
what-
I've been a machinist for 47 years or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
I've worked in the aerospace industry or something like
Yeah.
that. And you could see
Yeah.
they're probably in some sort of machining industry because they're examining the thing quite closely.
Yeah, right.
And
Within 30 seconds, they know exactly
seem
what they're
to be
looking at.
pretty happy with it. So
Yeah.
it's, I guess,
Like,
encouraging.
wow, this is really nice work,
Yeah.
But
It's
I think-
challenging to get that done if you farm it out.
But that's a testament to you, and the fact that you're always constantly improving upon a process. The
Right.
process never ends. The improvement process never ends, which is
Yeah.
really a part of what takes up a big portion
people
of
would
your
normally have no
of your
clue,
of
right?
your,
Yeah.
of your day and week.
The Diana frame, we are on 7 revisions.
Really?
They look the same.
Yeah, they look the same.
They look
yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
7 revisions.
Yeah, and it's subtle things.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily. I guess not necessarily going to change the sound. Don't everyone panic. At
Oh,
the-
no,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
change the sound
yeah.
at all.
yeah,
Mechanically,
but it's a
it's
finish
different,
thing.
right?
Yeah, where everything slight
Right.
change in the way you
Yeah.
bevel an edge.
Tolerances, ease of assembly and production.
Yeah. Yeah. Less parts getting thrown out.
Yeah.
Right. But
Right.
what's basically how you manufacture the part to be able to manufacture the part in a way that is repeatable, reliable, increased process reliability.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We've had a ton of. I gasp at the waste that I've seen. And it's a shame. I mean, it's not that we're not ruining the environment. It all gets melted down, and they pay us like 10 cents on a dollar what we paid for the aluminum.
It's a little more than that, but yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's like we're not making any money throwing it back at them, that's for sure. But at least it doesn't go into a freaking landfill. But the point is
It's high grade ore.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're buying top shelf, made in America aluminum to make
Yeah.
this. So it is nice stuff. Absolutely. And I'm sure the recycler guy appreciates it, and whoever buys it from.
Well, they like that there's not oil and dirt. And
Yeah,
stuff in
right.
it.
Yeah.
So-
We use clean processes, like our CNC use like, what is that? What's that machine? The fluid.
The coolant?
Yeah, the coolant. Like, what's that? It's like what's
It's
it?
vegetable emulsion oil.
Water,
Yeah,
water
it's
based. Water. Yeah,
Water soluble.
doesn't hurt the environment
Yeah.
type thing.
Right.
Yeah, big bucks for the jugs, but it works. But also makes cleaner parts too.
Yeah,
It keeps
better
our machines
finishes.
running better. We buy the
Yep.
top shelf materials for the machines, and so yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, probably should wrap it up first. I don't know.
yeah, man, I've been talking too long today.
Well, that's about it for this first episode. We're gonna do these regularly, probably weekly, maybe
Yeah,
multiple
if not
times
more
per week.
often. Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you have any questions you want to ask us or
This is fun.
anything in particular, leave it down in the comments. And
Yeah, please do. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Number 2. Is this episode 2? How the industry has changed, and where it's going.
So the forums actually have changed things quite a bit over the years. In their early days, people didn't seem to go to the forums for their information, right? They went to meets and trade shows and stuff like that more commonly, it seems. And now people almost first choice go to the forums for their information, it seems. And I think people are much more aware of how important their comments and the reviews and stuff like are on the community and how much that matters.